kissed my neck and drove faster. Rain love like a meteor shower. Flowers bloom in the barren soil. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh. I saw Jesus in our new house. Garden of Eden as we look out. Fresh brown green fields with the golden leaves. Yeah. Stepping on rugs made of real tiger skins. When the race as faith deepens. A hot pink day with the wedding ring. A hot pink day with the wedding ring. I'm not less strong than this palace we go home.
Welcome. This is Matthew, David Hurtado, and this is the Reality Check Show. And as always, Holly is here. Welcome to the show, Holly.
Matthew.
Oh, good. I heard a little bit of that. Try that again. Let me see if you're coming through good. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
There you are. Okay.
There
now
I am.
Yep, now we're good. Well, we have an exciting show for you. The first hour here is going to be about brain health, and maybe you'll learn some things that you didn't know already. Because everybody wants to be more intelligent. They want to be able to pick up and process and assimilate information in this hyper, sensitive data sphere that we live in, and all this information coming at us all day, every day. And we're going to lead that into manifestation in the second hour. And we're going to kind of set the intention so it's all going to tie together. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to tell you a story. And the story goes a little bit like this. Back in 2012, my company was growing fast and everything was exciting and life was getting good. It was getting delicious. The cash flow was good. I was starting to crawl out of a hole from being unwell for so long. But then what I found was by 2013, when we hit a pinnacle of, health and success, I was depressed and I was not happy. Now, everyone thinks that, suddenly if, a big pile of money falls in your lap, you're going to all of a sudden become super happy. But the reality is that we really want to change the way we feel. And a lot of that has to do with your brain. And unfortunately, money is just a magnifier, and it will just magnify what you already are in your life. And so what happened with me was I was really exposed to a weakness, and it was such a blessing because it helped me develop a product that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a product called DNA Evolve. It's number one in a category of products called nootropics, and this is the world's first ascension nootropic. So anyway, back to the story. How this came to pass was I started off with this state of being depressed with everything to be grateful for in my life. And I started to find some answers. And so what I found is going to be shocking to many people because a lot of people out there are going to be thinking, what's wrong with me? How come I'm not right? Why am I always looking for stimulants, or why am I always feeling downtrodden or depressed or mentally sluggish or something like of that nature. So what I want to do is I want to ask you just a quick question if you're listening out there, and I want you to answer yes or no to any of these statements. And if you answer more than 5 of these yes in your head, then we'll talk about what you may be a candidate for and how you can find out. So number 1, do you get frustrated? Actually, Holly, why don't you play along here, and I'll ask you the question, and you can answer yes or no. Either answer is right. But if you're out there listening in Radio Land, you answer yes or no too in your head. And here's question 1. I get frustrated more easily than I should.
Yes.
Number 2, I get angry when I know that I shouldn't.
Yes.
Number 3, I have a hard time sleeping at night.
Yes.
Number 4, I feel anxious.
Yes.
Number 5, I get overwhelmed too easily.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're saying yes to all these. All right. All right. You don't have to say yes anymore, but if you want to.
I know. I don't want to say yes anymore.
All right, well, I think I found the solution for you. All right, so number 6, I have too many angry thoughts. I get upset if things are not the way I think they should be.
Yes.
Number 7, I will do whatever it takes to correct a difficult situation.
Yes.
Number 8, I am great when there is no stress, but when things do not go right, I get stressed out and can get angry.
Sometimes, yes.
All right. Number 9, I have an addiction: drugs, alcohol, sex, food, work, computers, gambling, etc.
Yes.
Number 10, I feel fear when faced with a new situation.
Sometimes, yes.
All right. Number 11, I have been diagnosed with heart disease.
No.
Number 12, I have irritable bowel syndrome.
No.
Number 13, I have or have been told I have PMS.
No.
All right. Number 14, last question. I have had at least one miscarriage.
Yes.
All right. Now, you answered yes to a significant portion of those questions. Now, if you're listening and you said yes to 5 of these statements or more, you may be a candidate for DNA Evolve. So let's talk about what I'm alluding to and what's going on here. So there is something out there called methylation, and methylation has everything to do with methionine and homocysteine, all right? And it has to do with how your body processes vitamin B9, folic acid, and some other things that happen in your DNA and your cells. And what I found, back to the story, is that I did a simple test, and you can do this test. It's called 23andMe. I think it's 23andme.com. And you do the methylation test, and I found that I had problems with methylation. And what's interesting is that up to 40% of the population in the United States has this issue, and many people don't know about it. So the irony of it was that I was always looking for stimulation, always looking for, I said yes to most of those things too. I was always addicted to something. I was always looking for stimulants, this, that, and the other. And so anyway, to make a long story short, what I found was I needed a couple things to help correct it. And once I started to use these things, I started to get tremendously different results in my life. And I started to feel a lot different, to where now I can ask these questions, and most of those answers are no. And what I'm hoping out there is, if you're listening, I'm going to bring some people on the call that are going to talk about DNA Evolve from their perspective and their experience. And just know every experience is different. And if you want more information and you're listening, you can go to rnaevolve.com, rnaevolve.com, and you can do a little research and see some of the videos yourself that have been put out. Now back to the story here. I started to use a ingredient called L5-MTHF, and that is a L form of the methylated, B vitamin. And I started to get well. It was really crazy. It was like, for me, it was a godsend. And so when I started to look at the nootropics on the market, another revelation came, and I started to look into the monatomics, monatomic gold in particular. Now, monatomic gold was researched back in 2003 at the Alpha Learning Institute by Director Sean Adams, who has one of the highest IQs in the world. He's tied for number 6. And what he found was that gold, monatomic gold, had an immediate and cumulative effect on brain functioning. And we're talking about whole brain balancing. So when you find a lot of issues, you see a lot of dominant left brain, focus with a lot of people that have these issues. And what you might find benefit with is a whole brain balancing, and that certainly was the case for me. So in a nutshell, before we bring on some of the callers, I wanted to just give you the quick nutshell of this. And Holly, I want you to open up first, because I'm not even sure, you haven't used DNA Evolve consistently enough to experience a lot of the effects, but you did use a previous version that we have called RNA drops. So do you want to share some of the things that you experienced with the RNA drops?
Sure. Yeah. When I was introduced to the RNA drops, I didn't really know what to expect from them, honestly. I was kind of uncertain as to what really they were going to do for me, but I had a pretty awesome experience, because as we've mentioned before, I like to write music and I sing, and all that stuff. So sometimes I find myself when I'm writing music that I will start a song and then I will find myself in a mental block. And I know a lot of writers experience that issue when writing music. They will get going and then all of a sudden they get writer's block. And so I know the first day that I took the RNA drops, I was driving on my way home, and I live out in the country, and I pulled up on the hill because I heard this music without any lyrics to it, and all of a sudden almost an entire song came to me. I pulled over and I wrote it, the whole song, within less than 45 minutes. And so that was a pretty awesome experience for me personally. And then ever since then, I mean, I've been taking them, as you had mentioned, not religiously, but when I do, I do see a significant difference within myself.
That's incredible, and I've had many similar experiences too, and that's why we developed them, actually. So what you've experienced is you've experienced the monatomic gold, silver, iridium, and ruthenium in the customized formulation that we have with the Complete Essentials RNA drops, and that was the precursor to the DNA Evolve, but based on your answers, it sounds like you're a very good candidate for DNA Evolve, so we're going to switch you up and see what you can do with that. So I'm excited about that. And if you're listening out there, if you're wondering what the difference is between RNA drops with Complete Essentials and the DNA Evolve, well, the easiest way to find out is to try them. And what you'll find is you'll find the differences that you're looking for. We always say experience the unknown, and that's what Holly was referring to. Is the secret to getting an answer is you have to understand how your mind works. So your mind creates the problems in your life because its job is to actually, keep you stuck in what it thinks is your survival. So let's say, for instance, you've experienced certain things throughout your life, and we call those things limiting patterns of behaviors. Well, your mind wants to keep you there because it thinks that that's how you survived at the unconscious level. And so whenever you ask for the answer, the mind sort of diverts you, and it gives you a misleading answer most of the time because it keeps the status quo that way. So what you need is you need to get into the midbrain, and that's where a lot of nootropics fall short, is they're simply neocortex enhancers that are designed to help with memory recall. Well, memory recall is good if you want to pass grades in school and you want to, pass exams and be a genius at memory recall. But if you want to be a genius like Einstein, or you want to be a genius like the yogis that meditate for hours every day to get into alpha, theta brainwaves, well, what research has found is that within 3 seconds with monatomic gold at the Alpha Learning Institute, they found that the brain hemispheres balanced. So what that means is, like Holly demonstrated with her testimonial, is that you have access to different levels of consciousness, and everything is essentially consciousness. And if you want to change your life, you have to change your level of consciousness. So with that said, I want to bring on some of the callers that we have. And we have a caller with an 832 area code, and I'm going to unmute you right now. So if you are on with the 832 area code, please announce yourself.
Hi, Matthew. This is Caroline.
Oh, hey, Carolyn. How are you?
Good.
Good. I'm so glad to hear from you. How are you feeling these days?
Well, I'm always so enthusiastic. I put a lot of energy into sounding good. I don't always feel that great.
Yeah. Well, would you like to share some of the story of what's going on in your life, and we can kind of catch up from there? Like, tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Oh, I was the type of kid and girl that didn't sit in a chair, and I'd find a horse that I wasn't supposed to ride and a vehicle I shouldn't have been in, and I had a lot of head injuries all through my life. And then, I got bit by a rattlesnake in 2005, and I already had injuries at the time, neck injuries. And that infection went straight into my brain. I got meningitis, and they came up with 11 antibiotic-resistant infections they said I had. And that just did me all the way in, completely paralyzed, and I couldn't move or see or nothing. And even a slight little noise is so excruciating painful. But I found various things, ozone and hyperbaric oxygen. But I would just go offline. It was just, no matter what I did, I would just suddenly shut down, lose consciousness, and couldn't even think or gather my thoughts in the least. And I felt this terrible pressure inside that I wanted to respond, in conversations and things, and I just couldn't do it. It totally did me in. And my tongue is still quite paralyzed and things, but I think I started with your DNA Evolve probably in about July. And right away, within, I think it was less than a minute, the lights would come back on, and I could, there wouldn't be like a train roaring in my ears and loss of everything. I was so excited. And day after day, it's been that way. And now, by this time of day, I am crashing right now pretty hard, but before, by 5 or 6, I was just completely gone. And so now I can last longer, and the crashes are not anywhere close to what they were. Not even close.
Wow. Well, I'm so glad that you're getting some relief, because you really have gone through a lot. So, we'll do our best to keep things improving and keep advancing as things come out. But I'm just so excited that you're getting some improvement, and that's got to feel good.
It is. It's given me not only a lot of hope, but just way more function all day long. It's amazing. It's just, there's like this lit up sensation coming up the back, and then my whole brain lights up, and all of a sudden I remember me and have all my memories back. I tell you, you were saying, memory's good for if you want to be a genius and pass your exams, but I wanted to cut in and say, no, memory's good. You need to remember who you are from moment to moment.
Hey, there's another perception. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
I can't thank you enough. I'm so happy. I don't even know how I found it. I don't even know. But all I do know, you made a recommendation to me to have Gary help with the codes.
Yep.
So then I got on your email and come across this. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you are getting relief, and stay in touch with us, Carolyn, because I think you're going to keep getting better and better every day.
Yes, I love it. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Okay. You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. We have another caller on, and if you are in the 608 area code, you are now unmuted. 608-345. Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Good. Is this Paul?
Yeah.
Hey, Paul. I'm glad you made it.
No problem.
So what is your experience like? Have you tried the DNA Evolve or any of our products that you're wanting to join in and help share an experience with?
Yeah. I've tried the DNA Evolve. It's terrific. I regularly take the RNA. What is that called again?
Yes, the RNA drops.
Yeah, I take those, and one of the times I get a monthly shipment. One of those times, you had a free sample for the DNA Evolve in there, and I took it, and it just made my brain immediately start tingling. I could feel it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm a route driver, and work at a company's quite volatile. And once I started taking that, I was very calm, like in the face of all the bad things that are constantly happening. I was very calm, and I noticed that every day, even though I've been doing the route for years, like almost every day, I do some little simple thing to make it easier, just naturally, that I hadn't noticed before. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's
great.
It's a performance enhancer for me, basically. I don't have any health issues, knock on wood. But I use it just strictly for performance enhancing related, not like an athlete, not cheating or anything, but that's okay to cheat, I guess.
Yeah, there's
kind of like Caroline had mentioned when she said it's like the lights come on. That's similar to the experience I had the first time that I had tried it too. It's almost like your vision's better. The colors are more noticeable, and when you said your brain starts tingling, you definitely experience something pretty immediately.
Yeah, when I first got the RNA drops I remember that's been a few years now, but I remember I took those at work and I was just flying, like in a good way. Like I was like super efficient and made me a much better employee. Those too, that's for sure.
Your employer should be funding it.
Yeah. I like them both. I take them both. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we did, we put quite a bit in there. I remember when I was formulating the DNA Evolve, working with Dr. Howard, you know, one thing that he added in there, which I want to bring up just in short, is that he has a proprietary technology, and he calls it the GH3, and it's 2 fused B vitamins. And also we put in the methylated B12. So when you look at B12, you have, you know, it's really good for brain health. It's good for energy production. And many people are deficient in it, and it causes similar symptoms to a lot of the things, you know, that people would think that there's something wrong with them. Well, there's different forms of B12, and you can always tell the quality of a supplement when you look directly at the B12, because if the B12 says cyanocobalamin, cyanocobalamin is the least expensive form of B vitamins. So typically, you know, you can look at the formula, and if it has, you know, any of the ATE ending in ATE, those are synthetics. So you might have a synthetic formula on your hands, and synthetic formulas, unfortunately, they're not recognized in the body, and they don't assimilate properly, and they can actually become toxic and totally ineffective. So we use the methylated version, and methylation, the methylated version is what your body recognizes. It's the similar form that the body knows what to do with. And every one of these ingredients is all an organic botanical. And that's important to understand because they're coming from natural sources and they're organic and they're botanicals. So you're getting the absorption factor right away. And we also have the gemstones in there, which is another proprietary homeopathic technology. And stem cells. And stem cells can be controversial when you look at that, but they're not coming from you know, places where they shouldn't. They're coming from plant-derived stem cells, and stem cells seem to be the wave of the future, especially with people who have Parkinson's and other, you know, diseases of the brain, because they can actually, they're looking at being able to program stem cells with the dopamine receptors, you know, things that the brain needs to function optimally. So as the technology comes out, you know, that's where it seems to be heading. So I'm glad that you're getting some good performance-enhancing results, and that's what I use it for, too.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for your work. I really appreciate the products.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and you've been around for a while, so I'm glad that you're getting good results. And I remember the first time I got it in stock, and, you know, we dreamed this thing up over several months, and then we, you know, invested a small fortune to have it created, and then we had it finally came in. And I said, okay, I'm going to take it and do what I do best, and I love to work out. So I was like, I'm going to take it and I'm going to go work out. And I felt like, I don't even know, I've never done cocaine in my life, ever. Okay, I don't do that. But I felt like this must be what it feels like to be totally high, because I felt really like, I felt good in a way that I hadn't felt before. And then I gave it to a guy who was working out with me, and he says, well, what am I supposed to notice? I'm like, well, just check back with me in like 10 minutes. And he's like, the colors are brighter. He's like, this is crazy. He's like, the music sounds so good. He had his headphones on. He was like, this is really cool. And that's the best way I can describe it. So that's what I noticed. That's what people seem to notice. And, you know, performance enhancement is definitely one of the things that we like about it. So thank you, Paul.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in, and I'm going to get to the next caller, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Yep.
All right, so we have caller area code 214 on the line. Welcome to the call.
Hello.
Hello. Is this James?
Matthew. It is, Matthew. How are you today?
Oh, good. Well, I remember we just had a conversation a little while ago, and we're going to talk. Maybe we should lead into it with that, but I just want to say, now you heard this, Holly. You heard this in the sky tonight. There were these jets flying around. Tell me about that experience you heard, Holly.
Well, I was actually inside, and I never made it out in time. Honestly, it was so quick. I never made it out to see what was going on, but it was very, very loud. And we live on a pretty high point in the county that we live in. I think we're at the second highest point in the county. And it just seemed like it was so close to us. And over the years, I've noticed we've kind of had some activity like that. But nothing like I saw, nothing like I heard tonight. Like I said, it was very close to us. It was really loud, and it sounded like there was multiple aircrafts in the sky. And about by the time that I had went out there, it was already over.
Yeah. And I went out, and there's a method to my madness here. I know we're talking about brain health, but I want, James is a very interesting person, so I want to properly introduce James. So what I'm talking about here is I'm talking about some of the things that are going on in the world. I walked outside. I looked up in the sky, and it looked like a movie, It looked like, alien invasion, whatever it was. Strange times we're living in, and lots of crafts moving around real fast. Definitely something going on. So James is on the forefront, the leading edge. James is very informed, and he got a really good understanding of what's going on in the world, and he does some pretty special work in that regard. So, James, you want to give us a little bit of a background of, some of the work you're involved with and just how you came to understand some of our products, and then we can lead into the DNA Evolve.
Well, let's take it back. What has it been, 3 or 4 years since I've been taking the RNA drops?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's been that long. I was one of the first right from the beginning. And we had the formula change, but I'll tell you, that product in itself is pretty incredible. And then when you introduce the other, getting back to the RNA drops, it keeps your vibration, at least it keeps my vibration very high. And with regards to your chemtrails and what you saw in the sky there, I think that it actually helps me when I do take the RNA drops, because you need to keep your vibration high to fight it off, to fight any of the stuff that they're dumping on us and throwing at us. And then that RNA, or the DNA, what is the new one?
DNA Evolve.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I don't quite know how to say that is a really small bottle of energy. I took it the first couple of times, and it just caught me by surprise because of the lift that it gave me. And it's not like a high or anything like that, but you just notice you've got momentum, you've got some extra energy going there. And it's a really good, clean feeling too. It's not like caffeine, or it's not anything like that. And I don't drink energy drinks, and I work a lot of hours, similar to Matthew. And last week, I have to tell you about this one. I took off out of the house here. I had an appointment an hour away. I was going to stop and grab breakfast on the way, and I didn't have time to do that. Traffic was holding things up. I took the DNA Evolve and the RNA drops combined. I did not eat until 3:30 in the afternoon, which is unusual for me. And I kept going. I was like, wow, that stuff is amazing. But I was through the whole entire day. I had a sales presentation, working with several people, and that takes a lot out of you. It's like performance. You're on there. But physically, as far as the products that go, the RNA drops, and Matthew, I discussed this with you a long time ago, and this is for all you athletes. I ski in the winter whenever I can. Last year, I did not work out did not get in shape before the ski season. Went up for a couple of days by myself, just needed to get it out. Did the RNA drops along with the muscle pack. I think that's what it was called. It's food for your muscles. And I never felt one muscle pain the entire 2 days I was on the mountain, which is that's crazy.
And just to clarify, you're talking about the complete Ascentials RNA drops.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's the study of the monatomics, and that's what I was most fascinated with. And if you guys want more information, you can go to YouTube and you can watch, a video by Lawrence Gardner called "The Sacred Secrets of the Lost Ark," and it's all about the monatomics, how they were used in ancient cultures, and how they've evolved quite a bit from there. It's not, we don't use powder and we don't use stuff that we gathered from a stream. These are made, in Switzerland. They're done in a very high processing facility to make them exotic matter. They're not actually metals. So there's a very in-depth process to do this nowadays, but the results are pretty cool. I mean, they're using it in terms of biotech. They're using it in hyperdimensional space travel, things that are pretty beyond the mind's reach a decade ago that's starting to become the forefront of today. They're using a lot of monatomics in that. So it's pretty cool. I think it's all about vibration, like you said, James, and when we're dealing with negativity that's coming from the mass collective, the best thing you can do is you want to raise your vibration higher so that you have this force field around you that protects you from a lot of those energetic vampires, so to speak.
Yeah, they are vampires. But I'll tell you, you take that RNA drops every day and you combine that with the DNA Evolve. As I usually normally take the DNA Evolve midday, instead of a cup of coffee in the middle of the day, you take that and you're good to go the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah.
But it's quite an incredible product. I've had people ask me, well, what's in it? I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. I trust Matthew. They've done a lot of research on it and it works. And they said, well, you all the energy you have, and you know how old I am, Matthew, and I keep going.
Well, James, you're in incredible shape. I remember,
For the kids, the guys that are 10 or 20 years younger than I am, how do you have all this energy? How can you do this? Well,
yeah.
Our DNA drops and RNA drops. So.
Yeah, it's
Matthew
true.
has the same phenomenon going on, I believe.
I'm working on catching up with you, James. I went out the other night, and there was a lady who was my age, and she was like, hey, she's Italian. She's like, what are you, 25? And I said, no, I'm 40. And she was like, what, are you married to Christy Brinkley or something? She's like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, no, I'm actually same age as you, but it's just, there's a science to all this. There's a method to the madness. And, if you look at some of the studies done with we use the monatomic gold, silver, iridium, and ruthenium. And when you look at, I think it's ruthenium in the Scientific American Journal, they found that it makes the DNA, I think, 10,000 times more conductive. Something, I have to look up the study, but, we're talking about DNA, and we're talking about influencing DNA. And this is pretty advanced stuff. So that's, I attribute a lot of it. I feel like every year I get stronger and younger looking. So I want to keep that trend going.
I have to agree with you because the more you take it, the longer you take it, the more added effect, the side benefits. And, I never take notes about it. It's just you always have energy. It's just an amazing thing. And it's not, like I said, it's not like a caffeine or it's not, one of these energy drinks, which are highly toxic in my opinion. But the DNA Evolved, that was an incredible find when you sent that one out to me the first time, and I was like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah, it's the RNA drops on steroids, basically, and that's a
good way to put it.
Yeah. Well, what I had this insight, and this is what I wanted to talk about, and it's all about quality. A lot of companies put products out because it's easy to market stuff, because what I've discovered is that most health supplements only work when the label's on them. So you take off that placebo effect, and it's just a sugar pill. So what we do a little bit differently is we've always, done our research to find cutting edge, you fill the cart right, you put the right stuff in, and the results take care of themselves. So that's what it's all about. And then you can get younger, faster, stronger, leaner, sexier. That's the goal. You want to become more youthful, because health is all about movement. It's all about vitality. When you stop moving, that's when you start aging. And when your body starts to become filled with pain, you're getting closer to death. Those are the reptilian codes. Pain equals death, and a sedentary lifestyle is the antipode of health. So what we need a revolution inside of us so that we can raise our vibration and we can become healthier, stronger, and wiser by tapping into more of our brain's potential. And then we can change the world that way. And that's sort of with a mission that I think I've been called to, and James is in that same path. And we didn't really talk much about what you do, James, but we'll keep that for another day, because it's very, very cool.
That's a whole other. That's another little bit of a segment. It'll take a while.
Yeah. Well, we'll have you on a show, and we'll just talk about that for a whole show, because that would be a very good topic of understanding whenever you're ready for that.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, James, and it was great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for bringing out that DNA evolved in the RNA drops.
You're welcome. No problem. We're glad you're here, and we're glad everybody's everybody I care about is taking it. That's all I know.
Yep.
So
thank you again.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye. Bye. All right, Holly. So what'd you think about hearing those? You've never heard those before. You've never actually, we've talked a little bit, but you haven't ever actually heard from any of the customers we have and some of the feedback. So what'd you think?
Yeah, it's interesting to listen to all of them talk about it, because like you said, I haven't really listened to anybody talk about it other than you, and I have my own opinions of it. And I was listening to Caroline talk, and it's kind of funny. I was thinking about this after I took the RNA drops. I've tried to meditate, and I have a little bit of anxiety, and I'm kind of, anybody that knows me, I don't sit still very well. My mind is constantly going, and I've tried for years to be able to meditate and just have never had any success. And I know that one of the times that I was taking the RNA drops, I took them for probably a few days, and I want to say one of the third day consecutive days that I took it was the first time I was ever successfully able to meditate.
Yep. Well, I'm going to share a story that I've said before, and I'm going to put the disclaimer out here regarding this whole audio. So the purpose of our products is they are not intended to, treat, prevent, heal, diagnose, or cure disease. It's illegal to do that. So instead, this is all for entertainment purposes only. There's a disclaimer. So I'm going to tell you my story. And I had PTSD for a long time, and I had it every day, and it was horrifying. And I had gotten it when I had Lyme disease, and I was bedridden. I was very unwell for a long period of time, and I had a lot of health challenges. And the one thing that happened is I got myself well, but I kept having these very, very traumatic PTSD attacks every day. It was awful. I was going to the ER all the time, and they were calling it somatization illness. They had all these names for it they came up with. That's what got me on the search for brain health, and this was years ago, and I searched like a madman. I've done 20,000 hours of research, hundreds of thousands of dollars. My whole life's journey has been about healing and overcoming, so I get to the bottom of things, and I find people to help me do it. And I found the Monotomics, and I was very excited. And so when this product came out, and the Complete Ascentials RNA drops first came out, within 13 days of using that product, I never had those PTSD attacks to the severity that they used to be ever again. I've had mild ones occur from time to time, but they haven't hardly deterred me at all. They've been nothing in comparison to what used to have happened to me. Literally, I'd have hours I'd be shaking. They'd have to sedate me in the ER. It was pretty bad. Those have not happened since that day, so I am so grateful. I don't know exactly how to describe why that works, but I just know that the science is out there, and if you want to do your own due diligence, you can dig to the bottom of it if you're listening, and then make your own conclusions and try something. If you want to get different results, just try some new things.